This is Musings and Counsel from London Baker Law with Debbie London Baker.
What are some of the key surprise areas that people generally don't know about that will cause a lot of distress if they fail to plan properly?
I would say the beneficiaries are the biggest hurdle. Um, so again, you and Sophia have bank accounts together, and it's been confirmed by your financial institutions. If something happens to you, the money goes to the other. No questions, no questions. But nobody ever said to you, "Who's going to get this if the two of you pass together?"
Yeah.
And that's when people say, "Well, it'll go to my son. We've been married 40 years. We have one child. Of course it'll go to my son." Yes. And they have to go to court to get the right to have that money. So beneficiary designation's huge, huge. And I've got even talking to people about contingent beneficiaries. So right now I've got a client who's named her son, who's substantially younger than her, and then a good friend of hers who's the same age, and they're both in their 60s or whatever. And I said, on the off chance, totally unlikely, both of those people predecease you, where do you want your money to go? And she said, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. I said, great. So we have the document now says all that. More importantly, her bank and her credit union both have that now on their files. So there won't be any probate. Somebody shows up with a death certificate and they get the money. The other one, and you and I have discussed this before, Steve, is people buy homes together, whether it's mothers and sons or fathers and daughters or life partners or whatever. And when they buy a home, nobody asks them how they want that home titled. So any situation I've had is more than I ever want to have. And I know we're running out of time. But when you buy a home, when you buy a residence with somebody, you need to be, if you're husband and wife, it's not a problem. You equally own you both own the home. And when one of you passes, the other automatically owns the home. But if you're not married and you don't pay attention, the title to the home will be granted in two different names, which by law makes you each 50% owners of the home. And when one of you passes, that person's family owns 50% of your home. And that was never anything you planned. And that was never anything you wanted. And I've learned, so I recommend if you're going to buy a home, before you do the title, if they don't ask you how you want to own it, call somebody who knows, pay them a little money or ask them as a favor, what do you recommend for ownership of this home? So if one of us dies, the other owns the whole thing. And it's easily done. And that's been probably the second thing I run up against. Half a dozen times. We bought this house together. We borrowed money. We did a mortgage. I don't own the house. No, you don't own the house.
This has been Musings and Counsel from London Baker Law. Learn more at londonbakerlaw.com. Thanks for listening.